What's up, guys? Y'all, it's about time for me to go home. I am actually doing some phone screening because I have to hire people now. I'm looking for my... I don't never put my pocketbook on the floor. I don't know why it's on the floor. I don't understand how my pocketbook even got on the floor. I never do that. But anyway, what I was getting ready to say is I'm actually going through some applications because I have to do some phone screenings tomorrow to try to set up some interviews for next week because I have to hire 3 people. 3? 2? 3? 3. Anyway, I have to hire some people because I have a couple of people leave and I had one girl give her resignation in. And then on the last day, that little girl didn't show up or call in. Now let me tell you about that whole thing. They got me like, for real, girl? I hired her because her mom works in our emergency room. And I ran into her and mom was like, oh, aren't you the supervisor, in that department? I was like, yeah. She said, I've been trying to get my daughter in this hospital for like 2 years and nobody would give her an opportunity and she's a really good worker. And I gave her an opportunity. So you can't do favors for everybody. You cannot do favors for everybody. Most of my day was doing the schedule. I do my schedules monthly. I do my schedules once a month. And the 4th of July falls in the schedule. So, y'all, guess what this is? This. All of this. All of this. It's email documentation from my boss to me or from me to my boss in regards of how offensive, harassing, targeting, and discriminatory she has been. My boss has a knack for working under the ethics line, and she is a great manipulator. She's not new to this game. She's been at this hospital for a really long time, so she knows what to say and what not to say through email. But every time I tried to call her out on her behavior, she would say, oh, that's not in my character, or I don't recall. Documentation beats conversation 100% of the time. So you don't recall what you said on that side of your character? So let's email and keep a track of it. So I emailed her a lot of stuff, and this stuff stems back from a while ago. And I'm gonna read y'all a note. This is a note that I typed up for an incident. Y'all, listen how petty my boss can be. On 1/24/2018 at 10:05, after a huddle, my boss stopped me. Well, I said her name, so I'm just gonna paraphrase and say my boss stopped me and said, when you're in the huddle, you need to speak up. She continued by saying, I know your voice projects louder than that. I barely heard you from the other side of the room. This is the thing, the person that needs to hear me heard me. I don't feel like I should have to scream. And for her to step out of a meeting and try to chastise me like I'm a child. What? Are you serious? Like, are you crazy? So it goes on to say, she at the time, my boss, her name, stopped me. I had a headache. That I was attempting to overcome. I did tell her that, and she said nothing else. We went our separate ways. And she was watching me the whole time. I was like, listen, because she is starting to, like, you ever hear somebody's voice and it just, it's like scratching a chalkboard? That's how she affects me now. And that's probably one reason I stayed out for the 3 months I did. She is now out. I either have to be gone by the time she get back, or I'm turning this paperwork in. Which means and let me tell y'all something about corporate. If you ever turn in an upper manager, there is going to be a domino effect And it's going to happen fast. It's going to happen behind the scenes, and by the time you are involved in the scenes, they've already made their decision. They made one or two choices, and they're trying to figure out which door you going to pick. So I already know what's going to happen if I turn this paperwork in. But I'm like tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of thinking, well, when she comes back, how to maneuver around her. You shouldn't have to maneuver around your boss. You should be able to trust your boss that they have your best interests and they are really helping you professionally and to push you to that next level. Not my boss. Let me tell y'all. I think I told y'all about this email because I had to email it to myself because this is an email. Where is the email? But I remember there was a young lady here that was causing the department some problems. And my boss said, if you term her, I'll take you out for drinks. Now, at the time, I didn't know her that well, and she didn't know me that well. But for her, when she said that to me, I was like, oh my God. This is the thing. As a person in leadership and been there a long time, when I term somebody, it's because I can't do anything else but term them. I mean, I'm truly invested in my people, and I look at it like this. I don't term people, they term themselves. That's number one. Number two is, and I don't take that part of my job lightly. It's always been a difficult decision for me to do that because I'm not just terming someone. I'm terming a household income. I'm terming somebody's rent. I'm terming somebody's car note. I'm terming somebody's insurance, somebody's health insurance. That's a lot of things that go out the door. So I'm very careful and cautious when I get to that point. If I get to a point where I'm like, I'm done, that means there's somebody else would have been cut the cord. I've gotten to the point where in my career that I need you invested as much as I'm invested, and if you're not, then I'm willing to let you go. So this is an email, because after she wrote me up on the final, she wrote me up on the final in retaliation. I've never had any disciplinary actions at all, but with some he said, she said, she took it straight to a final, and I knew she was trying to fire me, but a couple of people have to sign off before you can get turned around here. And over he said, she said, they was like, no. So when she brought me back, she put me on the final. Because when they doing an investigation, they put you on leave. And that's most corporations. But anyway. So this is an email. Me and her were talking because I had to hire some people before I went on leave. And I did hire one person. But she said, stay away from street people. I was like, what the heck? So I don't think I told y'all this before. But so this is the email I sent to her. I said, I'm in the process of screening and selecting potential candidates for the department. I know we spoke briefly about the type of candidates that would be a good fit for the department. I would like your input on how I should go about screening the candidates so not to select, and I put in quotation, street people or potentially aggressive or confrontational people, because that's what she said. I would not know how to screen for that type or what to look for. I do understand we want to continue to move the department in a positive direction. And I said, I don't know how to look for street people. So then the second paragraph, remember, mind you, I told you she put me on the final. This is what she said to me during the street people conversation. This was the next conversation we had. And I emailed her butt about it. I said, I also have taken what you said in consideration about me going through so much within the department, and then maybe looking for something less stressful outside of the organization, maybe emotional, typo. Anyway, maybe should be a consideration. You are right. Since placing me on the final, it would be really difficult for me to look within the organization. I know you said you were concerned about me. I appreciate that. I have a lot to think about for my next career move. You don't get to tell me what to do. So, y'all, her response back. But, and I don't know why she put it in that big font. Maybe to let me know, let everybody know, look, I'm only answering this part. She answered about the street people part, and she says, are you using the interview questions that HR has tailored them to your department? She gave the department's name. Tailored them to your department. That probably is the best way. I also have someone else interview with you as the second ear and voice. It should be, and then she put, or another supervisor or staff member who exhibits who exhibits the experience of the organization. If you don't have questions, reach out to the HR rep. She gave his name, but I'm not going to say his name. I would focus on skills. Ask questions about communications and a variety of personality questions about seeing the bigger picture and participating in innovations and customer service interactions in their past. You need to be real about expectations. There are no guaranteed hours, but what they agree to, they should be willing to honor, be picky. So she answered about this whole street people thing. Not a good look. This email here is actually where she altered a screenshot where she altered some of a project I was doing, and it left her name in as the modifier and the date and time she modified it. And I don't think she thought the system would do that. And because she kept saying, I didn't touch it, so I went over to her office and showed her she did. But I screenshot it before. This is where she put a one-on-one date in my calendar that originally wasn't there. Let me see if I can show y'all what I was showing y'all. So, okay, let me see if I can show y'all. I'm trying not to show y'all so much, but this is in my Google. Okay, so this is the date, the circle, because that was the only thing on November the 1st. Y'all, she said, you had a meeting with me. I said, no, I didn't. And I was screenshotting it to prove to her that I did not. She said, yes, you did. I went over and was emailing her. And mind you, we emailing back and forth. I go back in my calendar. And she didn't put the darn thing right there. She didn't put the date in right. So I said, that wasn't there. She said, yes, it was. You accepted. I said, no, it wasn't. She said, you accepted a reoccurring date. I said, let me explain this to y'all. If you accept a reoccurring meeting and the person changed the dates, the acceptance is still going to be there because you accept the original reoccurring meeting. And I told her that. She said, well, you accepted it. I said, yeah, I accepted it 3 months ago when you first set it up. I did not know you changed it. I said, that was not there when we started talking. Yes, it was, and I'm not going to go back and forth with you on this. Okay. I remember she said, sometimes I feel like I got to trick people to fire them. Documentation, but well, you won't be tricking me. And that's not even fair to trace somebody like that. Why would you do that to somebody? Because you can. Some people, let me tell you something, the essence of someone, if you want to truly know the essence of someone, give them money or power, and that will show who they truly are. This, y'all, is ridiculous. I've gone outside and sought some advice from someone who was very reputable and was a VP in a corporation, a Fortune 500 corporation, and they advised me. They said, listen, you turn that paperwork in, understand what's going to happen. And he said, keep in mind the word exit strategy. Keep in mind the word exit strategy. It is not easy to turn something like this in. Now, I'm going to tell you how long I've had this. This one, November. This was January, February. November, December, January, February. This is all from there. I noticed she slightly backed off from me when I showed the HR director one of the emails, and I said I was really frustrated and I was at my wit's end with the whole thing. The HR director, I could tell, panicked a little bit and was like, don't email her no more. Let's sit down and mull it over and see. And I'll, send you a meeting request and we could sit down. But she never sent me a meeting request. And then I wound up going out in March. So, but I'm pretty sure she feel like, well, she ain't come back over here. She hasn't emailed me or come back over here to visit with me. So maybe she's okay. No, I'm not okay. It's not easy working in a stressful environment, feeling like you're targeted and you don't know which way to turn or which way you can turn. So it's not easy working like that. I thank goodness that her office is nowhere near mine. I thank goodness I have my office to myself where I can come in and shut my doors and kind of defuse and take a couple of big deep breaths. And if I need to refocus myself or recenter myself, I have a quiet place where I can do that. So I'm really lucky in that aspect. But to work for somebody that that's constantly targeting you, it's not an easy thing. And I just keep saying I refuse to let her win. I refuse to let her win. I refuse to let her win. But in me not letting her win, I'm losing. I'm losing. Because I'm not living my best life. I'm not living up to my potential. Because I'm always on guard. I can't be relaxed in here. And I don't like working like this. Dealing with my staff is one thing, but dealing with your boss, when you deal with people under you, that's easy to handle. That's an easy fix. Well, I can't say it's an easy fix, but it's more fixable than if you're dealing with a higher up. With a higher up, you almost have to be like, listen, because I've thought about walking out of here a couple of times. And even had to go to EAP because I was so stressed out. And with EAP, every organization should have an EAP program or department. And EAP means Employee Assistance Program. That's what that is. What I'm going to do is change clothes because I'm getting ready to leave here. Yeah, I just really appreciate y'all letting me vent because I really need to get that off my chest because it took a lot for me to print this stuff out. I've had it for a while. And the gentleman that I talked to, he said, understand there is going to be a domino effect. Understand when you print that stuff off and you hand it off, there's no turning back. So I even have prepared what I'm going to say to them when they say, well, we're going to move you from under her. I'm not comfortable. I don't, how can you reassure me that I won't go through this again? How can you reassure me that the next person won't do this to me? How can you reassure me that I will not have a bullseye on my back? And they can't. That's something they can't reassure you of. Anyway, guys, I'm getting ready to change clothes. Yep, I'm getting ready to change clothes. And I'm going to use my office and just unplug my headset. Sometimes when I work, I plug my headsets up. And I've told my boss, point blank, period, I don't trust you. Do you know how hard it is to work for somebody you do not trust? You cannot trust? It's really hard. It is really hard. Yeah. So, again, y'all, I appreciate y'all letting me vent. I just gotta really think about what I'm gonna do with all this paper. I can tell you one thing. I didn't print it off for nothing. But, yeah, I know that once I hand it in, we probably won't be talking from this office for much longer once I hand this off. And that's just the truth of the matter. I'll talk to y'all later.